I know this game is pretty, not good, but there's always been something about this game that's captivated me. Maybe it's the fact that it's a Smash clone but with Sony reps, or maybe no, it's totally because it's a Smash clone with Sony reps. Especially as someone who has a love-hate relationship with Nintendo currently, and while I definitely play a lot more PlayStation than Nintendo, I'll say that much. As unlikely as a sequel to PlayStation All-Stars may be, it would also be the best thing ever. And ignoring the execution of the gameplay, I'm sure they could iron out the kinks and whatnot. I feel like a sequel conceptually is very justified. There's been a massive span of time since the original release, and the PlayStation landscape is radically different. There have been heaps of new IPs and games from Sony's first-party studios, not to mention any possible third-party reps, so there really is a lot to catch up with, and a lot of characters that I'd love to see be included. So for this video, to commemorate that this game is well over 10 years old, holy shit, I thought it would be great to go over a bunch of different characters I'd love to see in a potential, though unlikely, sequel. Anyway, I'll start this video with the first party characters, which are more important anyway. I mean, most of the third party reps from the first game were just weird choices. More than likely they're just included primarily as marketing choices rather than key PlayStation icons, but I'll get to the third party characters later. First, looking at the older characters, I'd say most of them are fine to return, but there are some obvious characters that could probably be cut. Those being Evil Cole, which is a really weird clone character. Definitely could have just been combined with Good Cole to make Medium Cole, and combine their movesets. And then also Fat Princess, Naruko, and Emmett Graves are three characters I can't say I'm particularly familiar with, nor would I imagine most would be either. They could return, but they're not exactly from popular franchises, so I'll omit them here. Otherwise, I feel like every other first-party character should return. Now for the new characters, quite a large number of game franchises have been pumped out from Sony in the past decade. Notably, I'd point to three major franchises being The Last of Us, Horizon, and Ghost of Tsushima. So I definitely think those three franchises should be prioritized. And for the latter two, the obvious choices would be Aloy and Jin Sakai, Aloy of which would be a no-brainer. For The Last of Us, I'm gonna go with, don't want to start up arguments in the comments, but whatever, Ellie over Joel. Primarily because of the sequel, she is the protagonist of course. It would market and fit that mold a little better. I guess the remake of the first game came out, but I also feel like Joel is kind of a little too samey to Nathan Drake in voice and design and moveset ideas. I think Ellie at least stands out a little better. Of course, there's also some other notable franchises that deserve characters, one being Astrobot from the Astrobot games, which I think would fit pretty well. It's sort of like the current PlayStation mascot, if there were any at least. There's also Tearaway, a notable Vita game, so I think Iota and Atoii specifically should be playable. Not separate characters, but swappable costumes. And of course, there's Knack, you can't go wrong there. I guess for a really new game, there's Returnal. I don't know anything about it, but why not? I'll include the main character, Celine Vassos. Maybe she would work. And otherwise, there's Days Gone. I'm starting to see a bit of a problem with these Sony reps, and it's that they're all kind of shooter characters. Days Gone in particular, from what I played at least, is very samey to Last of Us. I think it may be a little difficult to have as much moveset variety as Smash has if we go with all these characters, but whatever, who cares, Days Gone Bro will be on my list. There's also Until Dawn, but I'm just going to pretend that doesn't exist for this video. Anyway, I think it's fair to also look into some second party type games, if that makes any sense. A big one would possibly be something from FromSoft, specifically Bloodborne or Demon's Souls, as they were directly published by Sony. And these games are very popular, so I'm going to include the hunter or playable character from Bloodborne. Quantic Dreams as well. I don't know what you could really pull off with a moveset with any of these characters, but I think it'd be cool to somehow include either Marcus or Connor from Detroit Become Human, possibly using android robot abilities, I don't know. And then there's also Spider-Man from the Insomniac games, which are a massive pillar for PlayStation over this past generation, plus Norman Reedus from Ride with Norman Reedus. But there'd definitely be some licensing issues with both of these likenesses, so let's just put them in the maybe corner. Of course, I also have to look at some older Sony games. Something that comes to mind is Journey. I mean, I guess it's not too old considering it came out the same year as PlayStation All-Stars did. Plus, I think there was some scrapped Journey content, like a stage as well. But I think it could be possible to pull off an interesting fighter with a playable character from Journey. A personal favourite of mine is Shadow of the Colossus, and I think Wanda would make a great fighter. I'm also thinking how cool a stage would be from that game. Then there's also Dart from Legend of Dragoon, a pretty notable PS1 game from the Japanese studio that Sony just had to shut down for whatever reason. Also, the RPG genre is very lacking. And finally, Tomba was apparently considered to be playable in the original game, so I'll just include him here too. Anyway, I'm sure I've missed some pretty important first-party characters, be sure to let me know of anyone I missed. I guess there's also the possibility of seeing new characters from already established franchises. Say maybe Captain Quark or Dr. Nefarious or Rivet, if that's her name, or someone from Ratchet & Clank. Or of course a new God of War character, seeing how massive the reboot games have been. But I'll just leave it at this for now, and if any of you want to see any other characters, mention it in the comments below. Now, I'd also like to go over third-party characters, of course. I don't think these characters are as clear-cut as first-party. If this game were to happen, I wouldn't be surprised if they treated the third-party reps the same way as they did in the first game, where they're mainly included as marketing reasons, or advertisements for recent or upcoming games. So I'd like to go over mostly just a bunch of characters I think would fit well to represent PlayStation, and just characters I'd like to see personally. First, looking at the game's roster, there's a couple I would cut, specifically Big Daddy, which very odd character because BioShock was originally released on Xbox. And there's also Isaac Clarke, which is just a seemingly random multi-plat franchise. It doesn't really represent PlayStation to me. That said, Metal Gear, Devil May Cry, and Tekken are key PlayStation franchises, so they are perfect for a PlayStation crossover series. So I'll definitely keep Heihachi, Raiden, and Dante, not the DMC version, but his standard design. On the note of Metal Gear, we can't just have Raiden. Snake, or maybe Big Boss, or Venom, or a Snake should be included as well. Abe from Abe's Odyssey was also considered to be playable for the first game, so I'll include him too. Ryu Hayabusa was also considered, but I view him and the Ninja Gaiden franchise as more Nintendo for the classics or Xbox for the reboot series than PlayStation, so I won't include him, but I actually wouldn't mind seeing him anyway. Anyway, for the rest of this video, I'm just going to give a list of various third-party reps I'd like to see. Most of these would be pretty unlikely, to be honest, but whatever. Crash, Spyro, Alucard, maybe someone from Silent Hill, I don't know, I haven't played them. Lara Croft, Zero, someone from Resident Evil, maybe Chris or Jill. Cloud, or maybe another Final Fantasy character like Noctis or something, I don't know. Sora, Prince from Katamari of course, obviously who wouldn't say that. Soul Reaver guy, maybe Monster Hunter, or I guess that's become more of a Nintendo thing than PlayStation these days. Joker from Persona of course. 2B, and finally, Ty the Tasmanian Tiger, because why not? Anyway, I don't know what this video even became in the end, mostly just kind of a random dream roster for a dream game that will never happen, but whatever. Still would be ecstatic if anything like this were to eventually release. Please let me know if there's any PlayStation characters I've missed, because I more than likely have. And otherwise, thanks for watching, and yeah, that's it, bye.